Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Sunday's Talking Town. We have got a jam-packed show for you all, but as always, we can't do it without you wonderful people at home, so do please get involved if you're watching live or on catch-up. If you're watching live with us this afternoon, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. Hit your comments into the live chat. There'll be a link to come on the show if you should so wish to, and if you're watching on catch-up, I hope you had a wonderful day. Leave your comments in the comment section. I'll try and get back to as many of them as I possibly can. As always, hit that like button, subscribe to Talking Town. And we've got a new YouTube member today, Nick Totem. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Thank you for supporting the platform that's for the fans, by the fans. And if you should so wish to follow Nick's wonderful lead, then please do so by hitting the link in the chat, in the description. You can hit the join button on YouTube. We really can't be here without you wonderful people. We produce somewhere between 4 to 6 hours content a week just for you all to consume around the wonderful football club that is Ipswich Town FC. But we can't do it without you, so please do support us if you can. Sharon says, just watched Baz's saves from yesterday. Some were truly brilliant in such horrible, slippy conditions. I'm sure Haladki will be mentioned quite a bit throughout the next 60 minutes or so. JT, again, outstanding from Vaz yesterday, and I thought Hurst played well first half. Not a great performance yesterday, but we got a point on the road. Didn't agree with bringing Evans in yesterday. I'm sure we'll also get in to that. Please do get your comments into the chat. Welcome in, AD. I hope you are well. After every game, I do ask you for your 3-word reviews. I do also ask you for your feelings in emoji form. I love emojis, and some of the emojis you send in as replies are absolutely phenomenal. They're so funny. Ones I've never seen before, ones I've not seen for a while, and I really do enjoy doing that at half-time and full-time. So if you want to get a part of that conversation and talk about Ipswich Town FC 24/7, you can, of course, get access to our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, even TikTok. We are nearly at 500 followers on TikTok, so let's keep pounding that. Let's keep getting those followers. Is it called followers on TikTok? I don't know what it's called. I'm a bit old, but I just post videos on there. We have got some 3-word reviews. I'll try and filter them through as we go. We'll start with 3 that have come in from Lowy Blue, tough metal point. Anthony Miles, good away point. Brandon got lucky. And Tom Parsons with Taylor should have started. Well, you all know my feelings on it. So let's get the hard truth then and get their feelings on this Sunday
Somebody
afternoon.
get the tables. Hard truth are here. Delivering the truth that nobody wants to hear. The Cruncher and the Media Mogul.
Table, gentlemen, because it's time to get down to business. How are we all?
Good, fine, thanks. How you doing?
Good. I'm very well. You got the hat on despite it being a 1-1 draw. Rich, you obviously went to a very wet, very cold, I imagine.
Grim up north. That's my 3-word review.
Grim up north. Yes. Well, I'll tell you what was also grim. Our performance. We stunk the place out for a large period of it.
Disagree. Look, I can see his face. Look, he's not happy, is he?
Oh, I'll get into him in a minute. Don't worry about that. What are your feelings? You were there.
Yeah, look, I thought it was a typical sort of Darren Moore performance from Huddersfield. You have to give them credit. I know I see some people saying, oh, it's like being back in League One. I thought they actually played some decent football, to be quite honest. I don't think they were lumping it about. We did get away with one. If we'd have come away with probably a 3-0 defeat, I don't think we could probably argue.
Oh, we've lost you.
I'm back.
You're back.
Yeah, the goalkeeper was man of the match with his hands. We could talk about what he's done with his feet, because I don't think he was great with his feet yesterday, Haladki. Maybe that's nitpicking a little bit. But look, we stay in the game. We're resilient. We never know when we're beaten. And then Brandon Williams, who I didn't think had a particularly good half, he's popped up at the far post and nodded one in, and we've stolen a point.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. My feelings on it, stolen a point. Matt, you think we played well?
Well, I think we played as well as we could in the circumstances given. Look, we turn up to these things.
Backtrack already.
We turn up to these things thinking it's just going to play this champagne-style passing game. You know, Huddersfield want to win the game as well. So you've got that's why you play the games, and I think they set themselves up very well. And at the end of the day, like Rich says, we could easily, if Hladky had not been on top of it yesterday, we could easily have been 3 down, but we weren't. He played very well.
We didn't play well then, did we?
But we did well enough to get a point. And I think Moore has kind of got McKenna's number a little bit. I think he's a bit of a kryptonite for him. But the fact remains, we still came away with a point, and that was still enough to get us to top of the table. But if you think Ipswich are going to keep rocking up and just, blowing people away, I mean, we've said this before, that's not going to happen. You're in the Championship now. And I think that was the first time probably since the opening salvo against Sunderland, when we were really under the cosh, where we've actually looked under pressure in an away game, and we've not lost either of them. We obviously got the 3 points at Sunderland, and we've got the draw yesterday. We had enough to get the draw yesterday. So I actually think it was a very good away performance. Now, it might not have been the passing style that everyone wanted to see, but I don't think Huddersfield was going to let us do that. And, it is what it is. We got a point. Happy days.
It is what it is. And obviously a makeup of a champion means you adapt sometimes on the fly to what the opposition gives you. And I thought we did that in periods. And certainly in the last 20 minutes, we played particularly well. Ashley Smith, one of our YouTube members, they didn't let us play our football. And Stephen Parry, we still had more chances, but they were solid and we were wasteful. I've got a lot of respect for Darren Moore. I said on my match reaction for the social media channels, a lot of respect for Darren Moore. And I actually thought they played effective, nice football yesterday, Huddersfield. And I thought some of the criticism from our fans have given them a little bit unjustified. But the team selection, obviously, there's a question mark coming in. Who replaces Sam Morsey? Mike Brown, poor player selection. Is he right, Rich? Was it a poor player selection? Because it was Lee Evans with the armband and next to Massimo Luongo.
Yeah. So I was in the pub with Collins Boy Ian and Matty Taylor, and 2 o'clock the teams come out, and I was pretty stunned when I see Evans in that lineup. I know there was a few fans on social media saying that they thought he'd play, but I put on the WhatsApp group, I think Richard Chandler he'd put Lee Evans in his team. I think that was Wednesday night. And I said, if anyone thinks that Lee Evans is going to be in the team, they're talking absolute nonsense. And there he is. He rocks up with the armband. And I think it showed yesterday. I'm not saying he had the worst game in the world, because he didn't. But was he at the level of the normal captain, Sam Morsey? No, he wasn't. But he's a different player. But you see yesterday what Sam Morsey gives you, Gov, in them tight areas. When we're trying to play out from the back, like he'd give it to him. And he, like you say, sticky control all the way with Sam, and he's in them tight areas. He can turn, twist, and then we're away. Lee Evans isn't that type of player. So it was always going to be whoever they selected. And I know Jack Taylor, I think Kieran said in his post-match, Matt, that he'd obviously played against Wolves in the week. He had a bit of cramp. So we just have to trust the manager. I know we all have a favourites and who we want to play, but I don't think Kieran's got many things wrong with selection, And did he get it right with Lee Evans?
No.
Possibly not. Possibly not, And who knows if Jack Taylor played, but Lee Evans is now probably injured because he went off. And it'll be interesting to see who he plays in midfield on Tuesday. Does he... Because I said I think it was the show last Wednesday, man, I don't see Luongo playing 3 games in a week. So I wouldn't be surprised Tuesday night if it's Morsey and Taylor.
Very good point. Look, Taylor didn't have a great game when he started against Southampton, did he? That might have figured into McKenna's thinking a little bit. But I do agree with Rob here. When Luongo dropped to a little bit deeper and Taylor went forward and Hutchinson went over to the right, I mean, that's obviously in the spell of the game, the time frame of the game when we got the...
Talking about that, Matt, can I just come in there? If you look at that first half, I'd love to see a heat map where Mass was, guys, because he played a lot of it on the sort of left-hand side of midfield. He seemed... That was where he was. But, yeah, I agree with that. He did drop deeper and he sort of dictated play a little bit when Evans went off. But I said to you, Matt, on the phone last night, football's now about a squad game. It's not who always starts, it's who finishes. So the subs that we made them at the right time, and I think the subs had an effect, and that probably was a lot to do with why we got the point, Martin. And we did play better the last 20 minutes, and when that board went up with 8 minutes to go, I listened to Darren Moore's interview on their YouTube channel, and he basically said, don't lose the game. So we were probably the team put in there at the end. If anyone was going to win that game, it probably would have been us. And that would have been a bit unfair on Huddersfield, because I think they probably deserved more than a point. But that's football. And sometimes we'll play well this season and don't get what we deserve. But it's all about, we all know, we've sat on these games away from home when we've been leading by 1 goal, and we've always said, haven't we? It only takes one moment, Yeah, and there it is. And we have burgled a point, I think.
I think so. I titled the show "Smash and Grab," Matt, but I do truly believe it was a smash and grab. I don't think we were at it at all. I thought we were fortunate. We came into the ascendancy as our fitness showed towards the end of the game, but particularly on the Taylor Evans point, obviously cramp aside, I was floored by it, if I'm honest, because you tracked the guy for 6 months, spent $1.5 million on him. He scored a great goal midweek, played really well by all accounts. This is his moment to shine.
Yeah.
And I was let down.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I also agree with what you say there, and I was expecting Taylor to be in the team sheet, certainly after the goal he scored. But I mean, look, you can see the thinking a little bit. Look at the setup that Huddersfield had. We struggled to play through the lines, didn't we? And as Rich said, Hladky wasn't finding anyone in midfield. That's why I don't think actually we really missed Morsey that much, because I think the game might have passed him by a little bit. And certainly when he drops deep to the D to try and to play the ball out, through the side, they kind of tracked that as well. So I think maybe a lot of his strengths Morsey would have brought to the team may have been lost in that first half, but we won't really know. But the annoying thing about Evans is now he's injured again. It's very difficult for fans to be emotionally invested in Lee Evans, because he keeps making these cameos. And then when he gets opportunities, he plays the 90 against Wolves, and then he gets injured yesterday having a shot, and he's off again. And he hasn't finished the last 2 seasons either. So there's always that question mark over his head. But I thought Longo did very well. I mean, listen, we're at the top of the year, we were thinking, what we signed him for? Just a pivotal play for us. And it doesn't surprise me that we actually got back into the game and actually finished the game very strongly. Hence the reason why I don't think it was a woeful performance, particularly with him at the helm a little bit.
It wasn't our normal performance. Like, you're not going to get that. You're going to have off days. You are going to have blips, and they are human beings. You are going
to get negated by the opposition. Do scout games. How can we stop Ipswich from playing? I think they did that very well. I actually like that style of play as well. It's pretty what the Cowleys would bring, Rich, if they were in charge. At Town.
I hope I'm never alive to see those moments. But
one of their old stomping grounds, the John Smiths.
The thing is, with the way Huddersfield set up, Rich, it was sort of set up for a Taylor and a Hutchinson type player, where you need to be busy, you need to be energetic, you need to be prepared to make a run in between the lines, you need to have that buzz around you. And obviously, Matt references Lee Evans. Injuries are always a sad part of the game, and you never want a player to get injured. But for Lee, I do file him under my availability to best ability, and sadly, it's something that he's not able to do, is it?
Yeah, and you look at what he's played a handful of minutes. He's played the cup games, obviously, but I think in league football, did he came on? I think the Stoke game, did he come on at the end for a few minutes? Yes, I think so. But other than that, he's not really played. But look, it's not just down to one man. It's a team game, and he wasn't the only one who was poor. I just thought we were a bit sloppy in possession at times. We give the ball away cheaply. But you have to, like you say, Matt, these teams do scout you, and you do have to give credit to Huddersfield, because we probably played them. When you think of it, it was probably a bad time. They've got a new manager.
Yeah, again. Yeah.
Give credit to their fans yesterday. Brilliant atmosphere. They were at it. So when you come away with a point, I don't think we shouldn't be sad that we've not won the game. It's another game undefeated, and it's 9 games, and we've had 1 defeat, and we're going to have blips. But it does feel a little bit like a win when you score them late equalisers. We've gone out the stadium, they're bouncing, and they're probably a little bit deflated, because they probably should have won the game, but they didn't. But then we have to talk about the first half, because it's all right them being on top, but if the referee makes a poor decision at 0-0 in the game that could change the game, that's played a massive part in that game yesterday. I've watched it back. I've seen it from 2 or 3 angles. I still can't. When it was live and I see it, and I thought, that has to be a penalty. He's got nothing on the ball. Amari's done great because he's cut across him. It's quite clever play, and he's clearly clipped him. I mean, anywhere else on the pitch, Cub, he gives a free kick there. I'm 100%. It's that one in the box, and then his reaction, Sorba Thomas, Matt, when he tries to literally pick Amari up. I'll tell you what, I love Wes Burns' comment. Because he come in. Yeah, and he's in, and he's getting in there, and he's looking after his teammate. But I still cannot believe how that wasn't given. And if you score that, we go 1-0 up, it changes the game.
possibly go 1-0 up. But he's right, though, Matt. I was floored live. I don't know if you both saw that in the WhatsApp group. I was floored. I still am floored that it wasn't a penalty.
You spent a lot of time on the floor yesterday, didn't you, Taylor? Wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, no, I was floored by it because I'm not. It's one of those penalties you'll put down for a season that is the most obvious that's not given.
Yeah,
and you can't understand as a fan how it's not given.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I was up thinking it was a pen. Ian Westlake on commentary, couldn't believe it either. Yeah, I suppose they think that the defender got a foot to the ball because the ball obviously does deviate. But I certainly think he takes Hutchinson first. And how many times do we see those decisions, like Rich says, on any other part of the pitch where you do get the ball, but you've taken the man first, and it's a free kick. What's interesting to me was when Hutchinson's on the floor and he uses both hands, that Thomas, to lift him up, literally physically lifts him up. If he was to push him over with both hands, you'd be a red, wouldn't you?
Yep.
Why is it the same thing not attributable to when you're trying to pick him up off the floor with two hands? You're laying two hands on him. As if he's injured and stuff. I thought that was dangerous play, quite frankly. I suppose that's what he got the yellow for. But Rich made a good point that actually Burns and Nat Thomas are Welsh international teammates together. Yeah.
Sorry about Reds. Second half, I thought Jonathan Hogg could have been given a second yellow. He was given another talking to where he was told sort of last warning.
Is that why they took him off? I think they subbed him, didn't they?
Not long after that. But then, referees are human. They have off days as well as all of us. And I also felt our goal, Matt, equally could have been given as a foul from Massimo on their player by another referee. It was one of those moments where you've seen them given.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I said on the little video, didn't I? The TikTok thing. That diving header reminded me like a Luke Chambers down the North Stand.
Doncaster.
Yeah, diving header in the 6-yard box. Yeah, I don't like to criticise referees because it's sport and you've got to take the rough with the smooth, really. But it did seem that, I think we can't say when there was big decisions yesterday, whether or not you was an Ipswich fan on the penalty or whether you're a Huddersfield fan, like you say, in the build-up, Luongo could have been a free kick. You probably missed the decision. So I think the draw is probably a fair result at the end of the day. But we did say to this, expect this. We didn't expect officiating to be any better than what it is in League One. I actually do think it is better, but you do expect referees to get the big decisions right. So certainly when you've got two linesmen and fourth official there to aid you, so certainly on that penalty, I mean, what are they all looking at? What the linos looking at? I mean, you know.
Great.
I did half expect when the lino came over, because there was obviously the fracas, Rich, and they're talking. I did wonder if not he'd actually put his flag to his chest to signal a pen. I thought maybe he would give it, but it wasn't.
Too far for him.
And then you think, well, he's not going to give the penalty. Why is he not booking Amari for diving if he doesn't think?
Yes,
very good point. Yeah.
But referees don't seem to do that across the whole league. They and I always watch Sky and I think, well, if it's not a penalty, surely it's the other thing.
I'll tell you another thing that annoyed me in that game yesterday. Second half, I can't remember the guy who went off. He was injured. They were making some subs, and he was over the far side, right? So what happened to this rule that you go off at the nearest point that you are? This is another rule. Yeah. When Burns went, he was on that side of the pitch, so he just run off that and he comes around the pitch. Yeah. So why do they not enforce this rule now, Matt? Because they bring these rules in, they're hot at the start, and then it seems to just disappear.
Disappears. Melts away, doesn't it? I don't know. I really don't know. Wiz often does that, doesn't he? He'll exit the pitch at the so he's still obviously in play as a law of the game. But yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
But that's officiating, isn't it? They bring these new rules out and then they adjust them as the season unfolds. Craig said I think we should have started Teddy yesterday. So they just need to give us more energy in the midfield and threat going forward. Nick Castaldo. Broadhead, Morsey missed. Down 63 missed our captain. Adrian, we missed Morsey. I love Morsey, but I felt we missed Broadhead more yesterday, Matt. That's a big blow for me. I hope it's not anything serious that keeps him out for Tuesday and beyond. He's a needle mover. And in times of like yesterday, where it's slippery conditions, you need a moment of magic. Because at 1-0 down, I'm looking around the squad and I'm thinking, right, who's going to provide my magic? Because I need it right now. We're a goal down to give me something. And Broadhead's that sort of player.
But Amari played in his position, certainly at the start of the game. And I actually thought he filled his. I don't think we missed him that much for me, just because I thought Amari played really well yesterday. I mean, if it hadn't been
more on the right than the left for me. More on the right than the left.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay. If it hadn't been for Haladki's sort of fantastic saves. I think Amari probably be in the running for man of the match. He certainly saw a lot of the ball.
Really?
I don't think we lost a lot of attacking threat, but yeah, I suppose maybe Broadhead a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more experienced in playing first team football, maybe more experienced in playing in those games we saw yesterday. But I still felt Amari did well yesterday. I certainly felt he filled his shoes, and he did stuck in the cross. Was it Davis at the far post that gives it to Williams? Yeah,
I'm going to be a bit more, probably a bit more critical than perhaps people want me to be on Amari. I thought yesterday was a little bit more of that young development game where he's such an explosive player, and you saw it for large periods. You're thinking Amari, we need something here, and then he goes to the right and gives you it. But Broadhead is that big game player, that big moment player, that nip and tuck type of player where you really get something out of nothing. And I thought we missed it, Rich. I really did.
Yeah, look, Amari's still learning the game, and he started yesterday, and I didn't think he was that great first. I thought he could have got the penalty. He always looks a threat when he's on the ball, but he does do his best work. Probably when, and I spoke to Mike this morning, it's probably when them fullbacks are tired, for the last 20, 25 minutes, and he can really get at them. And he did, didn't he? Because I think they said on the radio he put in 8 crosses, Matt, when he went out on that right-hand side.
Wow.
So I think the player we should be talking, the elephant in the room, is Connor Chaplin. I don't think people will agree with me. I think he's been average this season. He's on the periphery of games. As a number 10, right? As a number 10, I'm not saying he doesn't score goals, because he'll always pick them chances up around the edge of the box like Sheffield Wednesday, the Leeds, instinctive finishes. As a number 10, at the minute in this league, I don't think he's doing enough to affect the games.
Okay.
Is that
all right?
I do see where Rich is coming from. We did say in the Cardiff game, didn't we, when we were 2 down, he was struggling to get into it. Is that because he's a marked man? Is that because teams have scouted us? They've seen that he is such a pivotal player for us, and they're keeping tight to him. I think there's an aspect to that to it. And of course, in League One, he was such a cut above League One defences. He could almost do as he pleased, I guess. But I mean, look, playing devil's advocate, is that one of the reasons why Barnsley said go down to League One? Maybe they felt the same, off the back of the Championship. But I think it's most likely because people have got an eye on him a little bit, and they're keeping him. It's difficult for him to create the space. He did have a good chance yesterday, albeit it was difficult to score from. Got it on target, which shows you the skill level he does have. But I just think he's more closely marked at this level.
I've got some kind of Chaplin stats for you. 9 games, started 9 games, 3 goals, expected goals 3.5, shots per game 4.7, assists 2, expected assists 0.51. I disagree. I think it's not as impactful as League One, but we ain't playing League One teams anymore. No disrespect. We're playing, even the bottom team, even the team that everyone thought was going to be the worst team ever. In Wednesday, they gave you a hard-fought run for a good period of the game. QPR gave you a good chase for most of the game. For me and my money, Rich, there's no easy team at this level. Everyone's got good players, and he's not performing to the levels of League One, but it ain't League One.
No, I agree with that. That's just my personal opinion of what I've seen in the last few games. I think he's been quite quiet, but when you look at them stats there, he's still he's right there. Harness is probably getting closer to a league start because he's coming in. Yeah, he's done quite well. You might maybe see that on Tuesday because we've got 3 games this week. Or Kieran might think we'll go with what we've got because they've got a 2-week break coming up. So that'll be an interesting one. But look, Chaplin will always pick up them goals around the edge of the box. But he's just been a little bit quiet. But like you did, Matt makes a really good point there. You are going to be probably closer looked at. You're playing against better players. And I think we've all seen in the 9 games so far, Gov, there isn't any easy games. Everyone says that's an easy game. That's a game you should win. Well, there's not. You have to work hard every single game. And we showed yesterday we were a little bit off it, but we still managed to get that point, which is it's important, isn't it? Because it's a good mindset that we've got because of teams of old, of Town. We'd have gone there yesterday and you'd have seen us go 1-0 down and we probably wouldn't have come back in. I think Broadhead, Kieran was saying he's got a little thigh. It's picked up in training, which I've said it before about him. That's the only thing that makes me a little bit worried about him because he's a little bit made of glass.
And we've done well so far to keep him to keep him fit and on the grass. Mike D says, same question as last week. Do you think Walton comes straight back in? I've got a couple of Haladki comments before we get onto that debate, because I think yesterday Haladki, for me, sealed that conversation, locked it, closed it, and buried it. But we'll come to it in a moment. We've got Neil says Haladki put in fantastic performances, even though he knows he's about to lose his place, possibly lose his place. What do you two think? For me, as I say, he locked it and he buried it. Conversation's over. Matt?
Yeah, I've not moved from the stance I had when we done the Wednesday show. Walton will have to show that he can bring something better than what Haladki's offering, and I think that's very difficult at the moment. Certainly with the saves yesterday. What I will say, if Walton does come back in, I mean, look, Haladki's now put himself in the shop window to plethora of sides that will need keepers in January. I think someone will put in a bid for him and he'll probably go, because he's shown that he is a good first team goalkeeper.
Good point. But where do you see him going? Because obviously, I think this is his last year. So you'd need to sign him to a new deal. Otherwise, teams outside of England can offer him a pre-contract, obviously, and all that business. So
maybe maybe you'll just see his contract out and go on a free. I mean, you know, did we pay money for him? Did we pay?
Yeah, I think that one was closed.
Free transfer. Yeah,
free transfer. There you go. Look.
That was a free. This man management here for me. I mean, look, I don't see how he's been so instrumental in, you know, making great saves and, you know, getting us a point yesterday. I don't see Walton coming straight back in. I just don't think that's how this squad works. And I would imagine if Walton's being honest to himself, he'll think to himself, you know, I've got to show that I can be better than Haladki. We should be thankful he's put in such a shift, because everyone had question marks over him on the opening day, and he's been. And it was, you know, he didn't. It was his first start in 18 months or something in the league, and he was nervous.
Championship games as Christian Walton played over his career.
Say that again, Rich.
I can find out for you if you like, if you give me a minute. But on Haladki, 4 clean sheets in 9 games this year. You know,
he's played 9 games. Christian Walton is a championship goalkeeper, and this is why we probably signed him in the first place, because he played in this league for Blackburn. It's interesting. I've done a poll in the week, guys, and it was. I think I had nearly 2,500 voted. 62% said Walton comes back in. I see some guy doing one last night. It was the other way round. I mean, fans are so fickle. He has a man in a match display, and then it's like, oh, he keeps the shirt now. For me, I think Haladki plays the next 2 games, and then you've got the international break, and then I think Walton will probably get a game. Whoever they have a friendly against with Twanzebe, he'll probably play as well. And then he's got a very big decision to make, Kieran has.
Oh, yeah, because whatever we think, it comes down to it. He makes the decision. I wouldn't want to make that decision, by the way. But I do think Haladki has been...
What decision is that?
It's being well, I think we're not top of the table now, are we? Have Leicester beaten Blackburn?
I think they have, yeah.
So we're second in the table. I mean, look, do you think Haladki is better suited with his feet to this team? I certainly do. I don't think Walton's very good with his feet. That's why I called him two-touch in League One.
I'd agree. I'm just not sure there's a question. I'm not sure how... Even as players have got eyes, players know football. I mean, even Walton must be thinking at home, he's done really well. Like, it'd be...
Well. But
really
I see Christian Walton as your number 1. And it's, if you can bring a player in, it's like Twanzebe, guys. When he gets fit, he's an upgrade.
Yeah, but nothing's handed to you. Nothing.
No, I do get that. But goalkeeper of all positions on the pitch, you do need to have a number 1 and number 2, because otherwise... you're going to get into a very difficult situation. And like I said to Colin last night, so if Haladki keeps his place, are we just waiting then for him to make a mistake and then he's out and Walton comes in? Is that what we're waiting for?
That's true as well. Yeah, I do. That is the very nature of a keeper, isn't it? Yeah, I do agree with that.
This is like a much better version of Gherkin versus Bart, when Mick said, I've got 2 number 1 goalkeepers. It's a much better version this time around. But on some stats for you, Rich. Walton's played 80 championship games, according to a quick mathematical equation I've done on SofaScore, with 21 clean sheets out of 80 performances. Not to say clean sheets is the measure that you measure a goalkeeper by, but that's what I could give you at short notice. So 80 compared to Haladki's.
He's done everything asked of him and more, probably, hasn't he? He has.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You look at the game yesterday, I think, he must have done 5 saves there, Matt. You know, the save he does with his foot down arrow. That's a great save. Yeah. It's very close range. And he's the main reason that we got a point in the first place in that game.
And
what if Walton has a stinker? But That's what if. He might come in and he might get man of the match, Rob, in his first game. And then are you going to say the same then, or just wait for the second game till he has a stinker? Because football fans have a very short, I said this on Wednesday, a very short memory. Just remember what Christian Walton done for us last season. Because we might not have been in this league without him.
True, but I also said sort of what Rob said here, Matt, in terms of you've done so well. And yesterday, again, is another, oh my God, great performance by Vaz, man of the match, that you are almost setting Christian up for we got a short leash.
I mean, look, you talk about short memories. Don't forget what Hadke's done for us at the moment. We're second in the table. I think if we were floating around mid to bottom end of the table, I think Walton would come back in. But the fact we're in such a strong position, and Hadke's playing well and he's getting man of the match performances, well, look, we'll find. Look, I would keep him in, but we'll find out soon because Walton will get fit and Twanzebe will get fit, and we'll see how they all slot in.
He's fit for selection now. Kieran said from this weekend, Twanzebe fit as well. So everyone's fit now. Let's
wait and see. Your
theory I've said this before. I know when I got criticised by
so don't say it.
Matt Holland, when I said about Cambridge Young. When teams are doing well, it does strike me that it is everybody's always fit, chomping at the bit. When you're not doing so well, I've got a little injury today. I don't fancy it. So, and it's good. We want everybody fit for selection. We do, because obviously it gives the manager more options.
You do. Thoughts of his own, not the network.
Interesting. It's interesting you talk about like what people would say. Well, I'd bring Walton back in because you've got 80 championship games, whatever. You'd argue Lee Evans has got more championship games than Jack Taylor. Yet people wanted Jack Taylor in off the back of a fantastic goal. I think what Evans lacked yesterday was, again, you saw we said in that Wolves game he didn't track back for the defence, and yesterday the shot went through his legs, didn't it? Didn't give Vladky much of a chance, really. Whether or not Taylor's going to bring you much as a defensive midfielder, I don't know.
For that goal, watch him where we were, Matt, beyond that goal, and he's coming in from that left-hand side. He's only going to do one thing, so why are you showing him to come inside? Yeah. And I know certain people will say, well, Vladky's gone in at his near post. He's got no chance there because he can't set himself because it's gone for Lee Evans has got to get, for me, he's got to get tighter to him. But then, look, we give the ball away, didn't we? We give the ball away. It was our own corner. They've countered on this. Poor pass by Brandon Williams. Good goal from Huddersfield's point of view. Shit goal from Town's point of view.
Yeah, I imagine Lee Grant will be fuming because he seems to be the set piece guru with the pictures when players come on and whatnot. I imagine if he's the one that sets us up attacking
the oven like that when you're making the subs, he was going through this folder and they've got so many pieces of paper, haven't they? I mean,
yeah, that's the folder. I think all the set pieces on. So you're picking up him. You're picking up him. This is what happens here. And I think if he is the guru of set pieces, he'll be fuming because that's not something you want to see from your own attacking corner or free kick that you concede and you leave yourself a little bit open as we did.
It was good that Bergzorg who got the goal. £2 million striker him. I think he used to play in Germany. Yeah,
very good. I thought they were all pretty good. Craig said, I go Walton, but my wife Ruth goes to Vladky because he gets up the pitch quicker. What do you think on George Hurst's performance yesterday before we bring Stephen in? Because Ellis Sims scored yesterday, not because I'm not saying George should have scored because Ellis did, but yeah, 2 goals. If every week Town fans are going to sort of say about Ellis Sims costing 8 million and not scoring, we've also got to mention when he does score. So he scored 2. Hurst had assisted, didn't score. I wanted both at the football club, but we only got 1. Rich, how did you see George Hurst's performance yesterday?
I thought he was all right. He was all right. I thought he should have done better with that header in the first half. And this is another thing where we go on about Wes Burns. People saying, oh, he's not got many assists. 2 there he laid on a plate in that first half down the right-hand side, and they stuck him straight at the goalkeeper. I thought he worked hard, but it shows for me we are still lacking in the depth because I know Freddie come on and he could have scored, but that's the main area in January I'll be targeting. I would be looking to spend some money on a decent striker because if Hurst gets a long-term injury, I think we are going to struggle because he brings a lot more than just goals, Gov, to his game. He's strong, he can hold the ball up. And Freddie's a bit different. I don't know what you thought of Dane Scar. I didn't think he really got in the game much yesterday. It is hard when you're coming on and you're playing 20 minutes here and there. And it's another thing, you've brought him in. Is he going to get any starts or do we just see him as an impact sub coming on for 20, 25 minutes here and there? I don't really know.
Look, where did he? Where I thought he was a striker, but he wasn't played alongside.
Played left side, didn't he?
Left side, didn't he?
So
he does actually have the shot. I think people in the comments will tell me if I'm wrong. I think he has the shot that actually Ladapo directed to the keeper. Right at the end, when that keeper made that worldy save. Nichols made that worldy save at the end. I thought Hurst was very good in the first half yesterday, actually. I think you saw all the best of his attributes in a very tough game for us, midfield-wise. Alan Lee was in the studio with David Wright. I'll come back to David Wright in a second, Martin, because I know you've mentioned him in previous seasons, should I say.
David Wright.
He said that header was very difficult for Hurst. He said because it floated in. He said, no pace on it. He said, once you've left the ground, you've got to generate all the power yourself. And he said that was very difficult. He said he would have gone down feigning he'd been pulled to the ground by the defence to try and get a penalty is what he'd have done. That's what he said. But I thought Hurst done all right. I thought he'd done all right first half yesterday. I think you saw the best of his attributes. But David Wright, I thought was a very good pundit in the Town TV studio. Did make me wonder how he was talking like in this analytical way about McKenna. I wonder if he'll be involved in the first team setup at some point, or could be a McKenna replacement in seasons and years to come. I just thought I thought he was just as good as McKenna in terms of his analytics. I thought he was excellent in the studio yesterday.
Well, from my brief chat with him in Lidl, he did come across like that. He really did. The way he was analysing the beans and the spaghetti hoops, phenomenal.
The reason you should get Heinz ketchup is because.
Absolutely. Rob, I feel Hurst should have buried that head in the 3rd minute yesterday. He put himself well up top, bringing people into play. He looked isolated for me yesterday, Rich. I'm not seeing Hurst look isolated often in the blue shirt. Second half, I think he did. First half, I thought but I thought second half, and it was probably the right time to make the change. And then you brought obviously the subs on, and they did have an impact. Because you normally get that. You normally get 65 minutes, and Hurst has he's run his race then, Matt, hasn't he? He's pretty much
90 minutes, doesn't he? I mean, look,
the petrol gauge has gone down, isn't
it? Yeah. He's putting hard yards in. You can see, he's always chasing the keeper down. And but for Dane Scarlett, I think he plays the same, not the same role as Hurst, but he certainly plays down the middle. And I think when he went to the sides of the three at Portsmouth, when everyone just said he just disappeared out the frame after that because it's not his role. When he has come on centrally, I believe, in the last couple of games, isn't he? Where we thought he did pretty good at Southampton. And
do you see him starting many games though, Matt? Do you think he might get a start maybe in the week?
Yeah,
squad player.
I can't see it at the moment. No, I can't. No. But he's only getting cameo appearances in order to try and stake a claim, isn't he? Upon, the reason we've got this Walton or Hladky thing is because Hladky's played a run of matches and across 90 minutes.
He has, yeah. On Hurst, that's the big sort of difference between him and Ladapo, who I thought when he came on was very good. Hurst is he's your press man. He's your trigger man. When he goes, the team press with him. So he sort of dictates when we press, how we press, and when we allow them to have the ball, which is obviously a very important component of McKenna's style of play, Rich.
But then we didn't really need to press, did we, when Freddie come on, because we had more of the ball, and they sat a little deeper, didn't they? So look, Freddie brings you different things. Freddie will always sniff out a goal, like the chance he had, Matt. That was pretty instinctive, wasn't it? Great save by the goalkeeper. I'll see it back. Yeah. I think either side of him, he scores. It's just because it's sort of straight at him, and he's hit him. It's good goalie, that Nichols. Highly rated. Yeah, highly rated. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what changes we make on Tuesday, because obviously Hull are unbeaten in 8 games, 1-4, drawn 4.
Good team. 5th today at the moment. 5th, I think.
Yeah,
good manager.
So it'd be interesting. I'm interested to see my man Scott Twine, because I always like watching him play. Hopefully he has a good game. Yeah, no free kicks playing down around the edge of the box.
Yeah. Hopefully he does.
That was a lucky against MK, wasn't it, when he beat him with a free kick in that game?
Was it Swindon behind closed doors, wasn't it, in the COVIDs? It was when he got 2, wasn't it?
That was Di Cornell in goal. Di Cornell? Mike D messaged me the other day saying he must have a great agent, because he's obviously in that lineup when we last played Fulham, who we got in the next round of the Cup. Di Cornell is now second choice at Preston North End.
Yeah. Yeah. Eric says Tam is Broadhead. Colin, Broadhead needs to play more games. And Twine is a super sub. Rich says, Colin, you want to sort of have a comment on that? Or do you want to let that one go?
What did Paul Cook say about him, Rich? What was it? Glorified free kick taker?
I think they had the chance to time when he said he was a set piece taker. Look, he's a great set piece taker.
I think Cookie got that wrong, that one.
Would I have him at Town? Yeah, I'll have Scott Tyne at Town every day of the week. You know, but I don't think that's going to happen now, and we've got our own players to concentrate on. And I think that'd be a really hard game Tuesday night. I think they're a good side.
Just going on what Scrumpy Daniel, I think it was in the comments, saying Harness is again putting a good shift yesterday when he come on. Do people think he's in the running for a first team slot? There we go. There it is, getting closer to a league start. And plus, I don't think in place of Chaplin particularly, but
so then who do you play in front of?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Play that side if it's not there.
Yeah. Chaplin's too pivotal for us, I think. But who knows? I mean, certainly Harness would be in the frame there, I think, if Chaplin was injured. Absolutely.
Harry Clark taken off at half time. I've not heard anything unless either of you have post game in regards to if it was tactical or injury. Yeah, hopefully not a flare up of tactical. Okay.
Yeah, Kieran took him off and said that was struggling a little bit down that right hand side. That was basically all he said when he questioned. I didn't think majorly.
No, I didn't either. He did get flattened, didn't he? In one of their attacks, he went down. He was like got face planted around the centre circle a little bit. I don't know if I certainly thought of that when he didn't reappear, but shame because he's done really well in the last few games. And also he scored against Blackburn.
It was no Cambridge away, was it? Where we were thinking, good Lord, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I was surprised to see the sub, but then Williams come on, not Williamson. Yet to make a league debut is Williamson.
Yeah.
I have moments. We all know that. What do you make of Brandon's game? Because obviously got the goal, got the David Wright-esque finish at the end. Funny you should say he was in the studio. And I thought like Amari, he grew into the game as the game went on, particularly after his goal, when suddenly he was full of confidence and a different player.
I think you look for partnerships over the pitch. And I've seen this a couple of times now when Amari's gone over that right and you've got Brandon Williams behind him. And I think they sort of dovetail quite well together. I thought, look, he gave the ball away a couple of cheap times. Obviously, one led to the goal. But look, he's Johnny on the spot there, Matt, you know. Fullback to fullback. Another assist for Leaf. Yeah. There's only his second career goal. And if like you were saying, Gov, you're looking at people who can get us back into the game. I don't think anyone was thinking it's going to be Brandon Williams popping up at the back post for a diving header 3 minutes from the end of the game, really. So that'll do his confidence the world good. You know, you're a lone player. You come in. I think he's been quite impressive. Well, he had a bit of a calamitous start, didn't he, against Leeds and then the own goal against Reading. But I think he's done fairly well. And we're in a bit of a luxury position here when you've got a player of his calibre, Matt, who you can bring on either side. He can come on left or he can come on right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's not JD, is he?
No. I think Twanzabi played right back for Aston Villa on loan there. So I think he can even fill into one of those spots if we are struggling wherever happens. But I thought, I mean, you saw the flash. Everyone keeps talking about the red mist Williams has got. I've not really noticed it, but yesterday he got hacked down, didn't he? And as the geezer ran past him, he lashed out at him, didn't he? So he has got a bit of combativeness to his game. But it was a great header, and I celebrated it like we just won the game.
Should have seen me. I was in the garden watching it, and I kicked something that was on the floor. It was mud went everywhere. Literally went everywhere. It was like a mud party. It was brilliant. Got to tidy that up still today. But that whole goal. You talk about players of magic, Matt. It obviously I spoke about Hutchinson earlier, but it came from Hutchinson. And when you get him one-on-one with a fullback in the 80th minute, you get so excited because you're like, this defender is on toast. He has no chance. And he dummies him, shims him, puts a cross in. Ladapo is a menace. Davis pops up at the back post. It's a great team goal. It's a great well-crafted goal for me. And if you're there like Rich was, it's one of those pandemonium hold on to your seat because you're going to go to 4, 5, 10 rows forward.
We were giving it to them. I mean, I don't know if you've watched Alex Griffin's video. Literally, so you had the Town fans who had probably 3/4 of that stand, and then the Huddersfield fans. You've literally got about 2 seats and some stewards in between them. It was like the old days.
I was going to say quite close.
Because we were on the other side and their lot were giving it big when they scored, and obviously we give it back to them. But it was a good team goal. I think Amari, Gov, he's one of them players who, if you're a fullback, you don't know which way he's going to go. He can go either left, he can go right. It was a really good cross because he's dug that one out, hasn't he? And obviously, Leaf there.
I said last week, it's so fun watching a fullback when he first comes up against Amari, going back to the knowledge bank and thinking, right, I've been taught to shove him to the byline. So I'm going to give him a yard and say, go on then, if you can beat me, because I back myself. And then after that, they never ever do it again because they know
Yeah.
from that first moment, shit, this guy's got pace. I'm in trouble, big trouble.
The twist and turn. It did help that Nakayama, dirty sod, was on a yellow from almost the offset, wasn't it? Inside the first 5 minutes, he got that yellow. And Thomas on the other side, although I think he got subbed eventually. He was on the yellow as well, so it helped that their two wider defenders were on bookings. But that's what I mean. That's one argument, isn't it? To sort of say for Amari to come off the bench because he's even fresher than any as you're going into the dying embers, last 15, last 10. And we've seen that with his cameos off the bench at Portman Road. But he's only going to get better, Amari Hutchinson. He's only going to get better for us. I think he's really exciting.
He is very exciting. Absolutely. We've got Stephen joining us in just a second. Craig says Moore's been up against us a few times since McKenna took over. He knew what to expect from us, seemed to get his game plan spot on. Steve says, hello, arrived late. It was Donkeys versus Footballers yesterday. Usually really enjoy the show, but today, thank goodness, McKenna is manager and not TT Panic. Well, first of all, I definitely would echo those statements. I'm very glad that McKenna's our manager, not any of the contributors on Talking Town. I wouldn't want any of us in charge over McKenna. But that's the beauty of football. We've all got different opinions because I thought Huddersfield were very good yesterday, Rich, and they're not attractive. It's not Pep Guardiola football as in the WhatsApp. But guess what? Football doesn't always have to be Pep Guardiola-esque.
No, it's effective, and he done a really good job at Sheffield Wednesday. They're probably thinking, well, let's penny for their fans sport at the minute because obviously they're scraping the barrel, aren't they? But Darren Moore's a really nice guy as well. You know, he's one of them guys. He's your opposition manager, but as a fan, I think, I respect him. I respect what he's done in the game. I think he'll get some results there, Gov. You know, it'll be our place to go. They'll get on working. They've only had 2 games, and he's got 2 points on the board. And they probably should have had. They're probably a bit disappointed this morning, waking up that they didn't beat Town. So there you go. Look, unbeaten in 5, and you think until Warnock come there, Matt, they were sort of nailed on to get relegated. Going down because they were really struggling, weren't they?
Absolutely. They don't know any. I think I had them going down in the pre-season thing. They ain't going down. They'll be far too good. Darren Moore ticks all the boxes you'd want from an Ipswich manager, really, doesn't it? Again,
that I can get behind.
I know it's gone pear-shaped from at Sheffield Wednesday, but I really like the style they played yesterday. I thought it was good.
Mike D says you're not feeling Fishman's Xmas tree formation, Gov. No, I'm afraid.
We'll see that one day, I'm sure, with somebody.
I'm afraid I'm not. No, I thought Huddersfield had an effective game plan.
Talking of Christmas tree, who was the guy up front? Now you've got some stats on him, Matt. Who came on? He was the tallest Christmas tree.
When they bought on Andre the Giant, I was like, who the hell is this guy? Actually, we'd referenced him before. So it's Carl Hudlin. If you watched the show a couple of years ago, he was at Solihull Moors, and he was the tallest professional footballer. 6'9".
Yeah.
Big boy. Get the ball up to him, the big fella. Yeah, love that. Yeah, so, I mean, look, he's had a great path into the game, hasn't he? You know, non-league Solihull Moors. I think they do have professional contracts, and now the tallest professional footballer in England, 6'9". Love that.
Here's a question for you on Sheffield Wednesday because you mentioned them. Will they end with more wins or more statements from their owner?
I mean, Friday morning, I was reading that, thinking, here we go. This is what, statement number 3?
Statement number 3 of this week, I think. It's been madness.
They're so amateur in how they're put together, aren't they? Because obviously someone in the press office, you can't say no to the chairman or the owner or anything. So he said, right, I want this printed out on the website verbatim. Was it Rob who came on the show that time?
Yeah.
1,800 words he counted. Mm-hmm. They're so amateurish. You just don't expect that from a professional club or someone of Sheffield Wednesday side. Now, you used to get like clubs with volunteers and stuff, and it was a bit of politics in the non-league, right? And they would put out their side to it on the website. You think, oh God, this is like absolute toy town. And it's just embarrassing, Sheffield Wednesday. What did he say? People stop being mean to me or something?
No more funding. No new injection of cash, I think it was, wasn't it, Rich? Where that means the manager's safe, doesn't it? Because any payoff would be a new injection.
There's no point in demonstrating because it was interesting on Friday night when everyone had left the stadium. He's got his name in the seats, isn't he? In that main stand, it says Chanzeri across it. I'm thinking he's been there 10 years and he obviously doesn't really get English football. He doesn't get what it means to supporters. I think you look at the ticket prices, Gov, they are just, well, I think it's 51 quid on Friday.
Yeah.
But as he said, if we get more people turn up, I'll lower them. Or if we get more shirts bought.
They're always thinking, should we have a bit lower prices and you get a few more through the turnstiles? Like, we'll whack them right up. And I mean, if more come in, brilliant. But they're nailed on to get relegated, surely. And I mean, how long does the manager survive there? And who would be? There's only one man who could save Sheffield Wednesday, Matt. There's only one man, and he will never go there.
Big Mick? Oh, Warnock.
Oh,
Neil Warnock.
Yeah, they wouldn't go there. He's a Sheffield United
But you
fan.
can't sack the manager without putting new funds in, can you? Which he's already said he won't do.
No.
That was the statement, wasn't it? Saying, well, I'm not going to be...
Yeah.
So that means your manager's safe, and because you're not going to be sacking him because that's new money.
They'd probably be best to get relegated, bring someone in mid-season, hope that that guy can sell the club and they can start with some new ownership, local ownership. Saying, is he from Thailand then, Chenziri? Is he from? I think so, has he been inspired by kind of what the Leicester City story? What happened now? It's not working, is it? It's not working. But then, for the grace of God, go us. I mean, look, bloody hell, we got rid of Marcus Evans. We hit the lottery ticket with game changer. Could it?
It does put it in perspective.
Powerless. As fans, you're powerless to where your club goes. I think
yesterday, tennis balls again on the pitch. They were doing that. And then if you look down in non-league, look at what's happening at Scunthorpe. I mean, there's a club who are probably going to go the same way as Bury, I would have thought.
Yeah. That's really sad, isn't it? Again,
Ever been there, Lanford Park?
I have, actually. Yeah.
I can't say I've ever crossed it.
You know that when Castro scored that goal?
Is it what?
Cito Castro.
Yeah.
No,
it's in the middle of like a shopping estate thing, isn't it? Like a retail area.
So they're not playing it. That was their last game there. I think they're going to Gainsborough Trinity, aren't they? They're going to play there.
Gainsborough Trinity then tweeted out saying, "Kind of, we didn't know anything about this.
We're going to use your ground, are we?"
I'm sure I read that as a tweet, and I was like, "This is going to get."
It's just embarrassing, and it's that kind of sort of unprofessionalism that Sheffield Wednesday have got a huge foot in at the moment. I just find it really, really sad.
We played Scunthorpe in the Championship, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. David Murphy in defence.
Yeah,
David.
The Iron. Sad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's look. All rivalries aside, you don't want to see a football club go to the wall. You might have rivalries. You might not like certain teams. God knows I've got a list as long as my arm. We mentioned one of them already. But you don't want to see any team go to the wall.
No. I mean, everyone's, as we were discussing in the week, weren't we, about the 92? It's very hard to replicate that. They do have it in Germany, in France, and Spain, but not quite in the same respect that we have, and certainly not in how it's reflected in cup competitions. Yeah, what we've got in the English pyramid is unbelievable, and you want everyone to be a part of it.
Sadly, though, it seems to be a dying thing. That's the real sad aspect of it. But that's modern football. Some things we like, some things we don't. Back to yesterday, 1-1 draw. Stephen, welcome in, my man. How did you see John Smith Stadium? Did you go?
No, I was offered a ticket the day before, but I'd already made arrangements to go and get on Lash last night. No, it wasn't you, Rich. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't run tickets, please. No tickets here, please.
It was. I made arrangements already because they'd sold out. I made arrangements to go out at Lash, and I couldn't turn my mate down. So I had to pass. Yeah, I had to pass. I'm still suffering.
Did you go, Steve? Did you go down the Phoenix Club? Is that where you went? Is that where you were last night?
Phoenix Club.
Down in town, Chorley.
No,
Phoenix Nights.
You don't go drinking. You don't go drinking in clubs and pubs anymore. You go to your mates where you create a beer and get.
Oh, well, okay.
Bloody hell, it's a lot cheap. And then you don't meet knobends that you don't like.
Well, yeah, but Stephen, excuse my friend here. He has no friends, so he wouldn't know that's the done thing.
Ah, right. Don't worry, I've not many. Don't worry. No, but at the end of the day, I think, yeah, we can all criticise Lee Evans starting and Taylor not starting. And for good reasons, Lee Evans isn't a Morsey, but same thing, Taylor's not a Morsey. You know, I can understand why he was there. And I did say it myself, I think he would start. I can understand why, because he's the captain when he's playing cup matches. You know, he's that defensive midfielder. He's not as good as Morsey, of course not. And I'm not saying he is. And he's that defensive midfielder. I don't think Luongo or Taylor can play that role, even though Luongo went to play at second half. Was he better because they were a bit more tired and they weren't pushing as hard? I don't know. There's a lot of factors that can play in that. I think it was the right decision to play Evans. I don't think he was the reason we weren't, you know, we didn't get on top of the game. I think the manager at the end of the game summed it up perfectly. We gave them too much confidence. The goalkeeper throwing the ball out to their player. Silly free kicks on the edge of the box. These sorts of things allow them to get into the game and stop us from getting into the game. And it started getting very bitty first half. We were making silly passes. We were throwing the ball to them. We were giving them free kicks, and we weren't allowed to get into it. And I do think Morsey in the dictating play didn't help us do that. But I don't think it's very easy with hindsight to say you put Taylor in there, we win. We may not. We may have lost. Let's not beat around the bush. It's a call that someone makes. I trust the manager to make the right call. He made the call. We back it. End of. Yeah. Everyone has an opinion. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. Yeah. Taylor has done some good stuff, but he's also been a bit soft. Yeah. I'm on Southampton. Most of the time he was anonymous, but then comes on against Wolves, plays a blinder. He's probably a little bit like Amari in the Championship. He's still finding his way in the Championship, just like Amari is. I thought Amari first half, he reminded me of early on in the season. Huddersfield.
Can I stop you there, Stephen? Can I stop you there? Jack Taylor had actually played in the Championship before. He's had a season in there for Peterborough, so I think he's a little bit different than Hutchinson.
No, I get your point, but Peterborough weren't pulling up trees, were they? So he's never going to be in a team that's trying to win. They were always on the back foot in the Championship, and I don't think Amari's been in that position in a team where they're pushing to try and win every game or as many as they can. And when you've got players coming in who are bigger than you, stronger than you, especially with Hutchinson, he got a bit bullied first half. I think I'd have preferred Broadhead, but he wasn't there and he did the best he could. I still think Hutchinson's probably better as an impact player off the bench, coming on fresh. Taylor, again, I can see him, with Morsey back in the squad, I can see him switching around with Loanga. Because I thought, to be honest, I don't think Mass had his best game. I think he was quite anonymous at times, and maybe that was because the dichotomy was split between Mass and Broadhead, Morsey, where they like dovetail together. And because you took one out, we lost the other as well. And it's difficult to replicate that. It goes back to the partnerships point that Rich was saying earlier. Players, they have a feel of how another person's what they're going to do. Same with Broadhead and Hurst. They seem to, same with Chaplin to an extent. He plays better with Broadhead than he does with other people. So I think they all flow into these certain partnerships. And when you've had a certain partnership, like Broadhead Chaplin or Broadhead Burns or Morsey, and if you take one away, it changes. But I'm not saying that's just on us. It was a very tough game going into it. You've got to remember, Huddersfield came into this with a barnstorming game against Coventry where they nicked it right to the death. So they were already on a high, And it was the first home game for Darren Moore. He was going around doing his Neil Warnock, taking selfies and things like that, shaking hands, He looked like a politician most of the game. But it was that was a very, very intimidating atmosphere for any team to go into. And they're not a bad side, I saw a lot of people saying
it's hardly going like to Ellen Road or the Den. I would hardly say it's an intimidating atmosphere. It's Huddersfield away, Stephen. Come on.
For someone's first game, it's always going to be the best, the best possible atmosphere you're going to get for a manager's first game. And same with the players. All them players know they've got new ownership in there. They're about, the likelihood is they're going to spend a few quid. All their jobs are on the line. If this manager doesn't like you, you're gone. And at the end of the day, where do you go from Huddersfield? You're not going up, you're going down. So a lot of these factors play into play. But for the next few weeks, these players are going to be on it because they don't want to be part of the Paul Cook cull. And for all we know, Darren Moore might have a few quid and he might be able to cull a few players. And none of them want to be that. So it was a very difficult game to go into and to say we were going to go in there and dominate them. And I do think, like I said, we didn't help ourselves. I think I saw somewhere we had more chances and we had more shots on target. We were wasteful. I think Freddie should have done better with a little bit. I think Freddie should have done better with that. I know it was instinctive, but he still should have done better. You know what I mean? Plays it straight at the keeper. A foot wider is a goal. You know what I mean? And George Hurst, Could he have took one of them chances? Probably. But
Should have done, to be fair.
When you're up against a 6'3" defender, they're not easy. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say he should have done when there's no way on earth I'm winning a ball against a 6'3" defender. You know, so all in all, it's a good point on the road and keeps us unbeaten. And it just shows that we can get something even when we're not playing well. And
you get it behind then, Steve. Not good in the air. Just pop it in behind and you can use your pace.
Thing is, though, I think that's with Chaplin as well. I think without Morsey, we lost that ball to feet. And if the ball's in the air, you might as well rule out Chaplin because he's not going to get anything in the air. If it's not to his feet, he's out. You know, unless it's pinpoint. And that's a very hard thing to do. And I think that's where, when you take out Morsey, that ball to feet, you know, the little triangles, you know, to Burns, Chaplin, you know, Morsey to Burns to Chaplin, and then back to Burns, and then he goes down the wing. You lose that because Evans isn't that sort of player. He's the sort of player who'll play a longer ball or a switched ball to the wing. You know, yeah, and that rules Chaplin out straight away. You know, eventually he becomes a passenger, and then everyone starts like saying, "Well, he's not doing that because he's not allowed to do that. The ball he wants will not be played." You know, but I'd still keep him because he's that guy where that. Even though he's not done nothing, it can land to his feet. It can be a goal instantly. You know, he's one of those only sorts of players. Him, Broadhead, they're the sorts of players you can say, well, he can do nothing all game. You can pretty much guarantee if he gets a chance to play. And that's why I think he's got to play. Yeah, Harness, I wouldn't. If you're saying, well, Harness is pushing him. Well, I'm not as convinced with Harness. That's where you'll get what you'll get. You'll get very gritty, determined performance, but not necessarily that threat going forward. And like I said, all in all, you know, it's one of them games where we didn't play very well. We probably allowed them more respect than what we should have done. And we were very wasteful, especially passing out from the back and, you know, throwing out from the back and giving away free kicks. And a point, to be fair, is probably as good as a win.
Steve, before I let you go, being Frank on Ipswich Town has a question for you in the chat. Eric also loves hearing from you. Always love to hear from Steve. The question from Frank is, do you still think Hladky sees himself as Walton's understudy?
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry, you have a number one and number two. Everyone knows Walton's number one. Even Hladky knows Walton's number one. You know, we're all saying Hladky should play because Walton's not played. Walton was injured. You know, that's not Walton's fault. It's nobody else's fault. Hladky's had his chance. Hladky's done very well. Hladky's proved he will never let us down. But there's certain things, and there's certain situations where I trust Walton over Hladky. I think he's better coming for crosses, you know. I think he's better dominating his box, you know. And I think he's a better shot stopper. You know, everyone says, well, Hladky made 4 saves. Well, Walton wasn't there. He wasn't allowed to make those 4 saves. Well, we know he might have made 5 saves. You know, I don't know. You know, it's one of them ponderous positions where when he's doing well, he's the guy. And when he's not doing well, he's no longer the guy. You can't look at it that way. You pick who's your best goalkeeper. And based on form, historic form, and experience, Walton's our best goalkeeper. It's like turning around and saying, as, you know, going to Chelsea and saying, well, you're second, you know, when United, you know, Lee Grant was 3rd choice goalkeeper. He had a couple of good games. You don't take him out. You don't keep him in. No, I'm saying if he had a couple of good games, or you can pick any backup goalkeeper, you know, if he comes in, has a couple of good games, but you got De Gea on the bench.
It's been 9 though, isn't it? It's not a couple. He's played well in 8 out of 9, what can we say?
Well, no, he's made mistakes. Well, Hladky's made mistakes. He made a howler yesterday when he threw the ball to their player. Come on, let's not. Did he score? Well, no. But the point is, he wouldn't have been allowed to have a shot if he hadn't thrown it to him. You know, we go on about him making the save, but the fact he had to make a save because he made a mistake. Don't make the mistake. You don't have to make the save. You know, it's not all about the guy making the save. It's about who allows the ball. It's the same as the argument we were having last season. You know, when people were scoring from crosses. Stop the cross. Then you don't have to concede the goal or concede the header. You have to look further back than just stopping the ball going in the net. You have to look, how do you stop that ball from getting to the net? You know, you have to stop it at source. as best you can. And only when you've done that, yeah, do you turn around and say it's a good save. I don't credit that one as a good save. Yeah, he saved it, but if he hadn't have thrown the ball to their player, he wouldn't have had to have saved it.
We still credit it as a save, Steve.
A save that he had to make because he made the mistake. So let's not beat around the bush and say Halak is great because he saves everything. He creates some of the problems that he has to save.
Okay,
you know,
all right. That's right. That's true. That's your opinion.
No, I'm not saying he's not playing well. Yeah, stop trying to misconstrue.
I haven't fucking said anything.
He's playing very well as a goalkeeper, as a backup.
This is like Walton round 2. Lights out.
He's playing very well. He's playing very well as a backup goalkeeper. Yeah. And like I see comments about, well, what if Walton comes in and makes a mistake? It seems like, which is he's going to come back in. Let's not beat around the bush. We're not paying him 12 grand a week to sit on a bench. Yeah.
No, but I'll push back on you. Halaki won't see himself as number 2. Every goalie in the world will see themselves as the number 1. I just need my chance.
No, Halaki knows he's not number 1. That's why he's not number 1.
I imagine he's got. I imagine like all football players.
I bet he's not been told he's number 1.
No, you don't have to tell you. No, you're not told, but as a man, as a player, sorry.
But it doesn't matter what he thinks. It's what the manager thinks. It's what the club thinks. It's what pay scale thinks.
Pay doesn't come into it, Steve.
Of course it does. You don't pay better players less than the worst players.
But you don't drop in form players, and Halaki's bang in form.
In form, yeah, but you're not comparing like we like. Walton hasn't
because I can't play them both at the same time. I wish I could.
Exactly, and that's where I find it's unfair. Some of our fans going right now. Yeah, what if Walton comes in and makes a mistake? Yeah. You're hoping.
What if you don't? What's the message sending out?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it seems to me like some people, want Haladki so much. If Walton plays, they're hoping he makes a mistake. I don't want that to happen. I don't want anybody.
I don't think anyone wants that, Steve. I don't think anyone wants that.
The comments are clear there. What if he makes a mistake? We've had one today. Yeah. What if he makes a mistake?
But that's a valid question, is it not? That's not someone wanting a mistake from a player.
Well, Haladki made a mistake yesterday, and we're not criticising him for it. That's my point.
No, because nothing came of it.
But what if nothing comes of Walton's mistake?
But we won't know that information until we present it to itself. The point in question is, Halaki's in form. You're second in the table. Why would you rock that boat? Why would you even set foot in the water? The water's still.
Because
why even go in the water?
I already said that. For my opinion, Walton is an all-round better goalkeeper with a far more championship experience, and that counts. That, for me, that counts more than how well you've done in 9 games. Where you could, if you wanted to, you could nitpick him, say he's made mistakes in a few games. Whether that's fair or not is another matter. He's been very solid, but he's also been a bit, especially with his kicking, especially with his passing out from the back. Trying to be prime Ronaldo and curl it round defenders. Attackers. All they have to do is stick a foot out, and they're 1-on-1. Some of these things need to be looked at. I'm much more comfortable, rather than playing the ball out with your foot, Walton throwing it out to the fullbacks, where we were last season.
Can I ask this from a different angle? Can I ask this from a different angle, using something that slipped in said in the chat, McSaucepan? Less concerned about Wolves and Ladke, more about how changing things unsettles the back line. How do you think it changes not only the back line in terms of settling them a different voice, although a familiar voice, but more about how we play from the back? Do you think it changes anything with Walton being perhaps not as good as Haladki with his feet, or are you not concerned with that?
With it because they've played with Walton long enough last season to know how Walton plays. Right now, they're learning how to play how Haladki plays, and they're doing well with it. But I think they're more experienced in a bigger sample size to know how Walton plays. Then they know he will pass to him now and again, but if the outlet's there, he'll throw to a fullback, and then they go off there. All I'm saying is, I'm just saying, Walton is a little bit more experienced.
He's got more credit in the bank. I probably agree with that.
He commands his area, and that calms defenders down more than anything.
Very quickly, Steve.
Haladki flaps it a lot. Haladki flaps it a lot.
And very quickly,
Steve. What are your thoughts on green energy?
That's my question exactly. I wanted to know. What are your thoughts on green energy, Steve?
It's bollocks.
Brilliant. That was.
I'm in love with her. It's bollocks. We should wheel down the pit.
Steve, we appreciate you coming on, my man. It's always good to talk
football
yourselves. With you. I hope I played the devil's advocate role there well.
The beauty of this conversation is, boys, we'll find out soon. And then the conversation will be over, won't it?
Let's finish on a good point. NT Stats have just tweeted. They've included, they've tagged me, tagged Talking Town in it. Leif Davis loves creating chances this season. Yesterday against Huddersfield, he created another 5. That's 28 for the Championship season now, the 3rd most in the division. What do you think of that?
Nice.
Not bad, is it? 3rd most in the division.
We can't go and leave the show until we've addressed Will Jennings and his message to Ipswich from a Norwich City fan, Martin.
Oh, are we going to go there?
Yeah, of course. People might not have seen this. So pick the pink 'un, Will Jennings. Yeah. This is a message to Ipswich from a Norwich City fan. It's becoming difficult to not start getting slightly concerned about what's currently going on at Portman Road. He says the tractor boys are understandably generating significant national attention. And this is very difficult for me as a 26-year-old fan who has only ever known East Anglia to be firmly yellow and green. It is alarming to witness. Credit where credit is due. McKenna is without doubt doing an impressive job in Suffolk, is what he says. But Ipswich fans, purring podcasts, I'm presuming that's us.
Of course it's us.
Annoyingly adoring pundits. We're only 8 games into a grueling Championship season. And for a club who spent the last 3 or 4 years fundamentally unable to get out of League One, it's hard to escape the feeling you're all getting a little carried away. Granted, Tuesday night's comeback against Wolves was particularly eye-catching. we only 2-0 down against a team worth 170 mil, 1-3-2. But yeah, very eye-catching. What else does he say?
I couldn't hear it through the tears, Matt, if I'm honest.
Yeah, the point I'm making is this. That bubble can quite easily burst. And for a club that's failed to beat Norwich for almost 15 years, we'll give him that one. Is it really too much to ask you to get back in your box and quit your premature smugness? Let's not forget, you are a club that loves harping on about history, but will conveniently omit the last decade of Norwich City dominance.
Yeah. You know when I needed? Do you remember when you were doing your clutch, Mike Bassett? It needed canned laughter. It needed canned laughter in there.
It needed someone crying in the background of it, like that baby wailing. Like
the Championship is a marathon, not a sprint. I think I speak for all City fans when I say not only hope, but believe it will start to unravel soon.
Rich, your thoughts?
Well, look, he's entitled to his opinion.
Of course he is.
Look, the last 15 years, we will give you that. You have been better than we have. But let's look at these trophies that we've won.
Yeah.
They will say, yeah, but you're always going on about what happened. Well, so are you. You're still going on about the 5-1 and the 4-1. That was years ago. So we'll go back to winning the First Division. We'll go back to winning the FA Cup. We'll be going back to winning the UEFA Cup. Let's not forget, in their honours, in their programme, 3rd round, was it, of the UEFA Cup in their honours? Embarrassing, boys. Embarrassing. So you get back in your box, Will, and we will see you on the 16th of December. And if you want, the door is open. The door is open for Will to come on Talking Town. So there is the invite if you want to come on.
Always. My first thing would be to say, show us your Innsbruck Cup medal. You haven't got one of those, have you? You haven't won that. You ain't won that, mate. And where have you gone in this last decade of dominance? Because from what I can tell, you've gone precisely where we left you. Nowhere. We've gone away, almost died as a football club, come back from the brink of extinction, and where we found you? Exactly where we left you. Just a club in the Championship. So have your dominance. If that's what you call dominant, have it. Because we'll show you what dominant really looks like. Just watch out. Just keep
roll
watching.
on December. But come and see us, Will. You know, we can all have a nice friendly chat, can't we?
Oh yeah, it's all banter here, it's all love here. But I mean, I'll give them beating us. You know, I can't do anything about that. Stats are stats, and facts don't care for your feelings. But show us your dominance. Like, what is your dominance? What yo-yoing.
Yeah. What I
Some
like about
dominance.
Will is he's obviously got the very same passion and DNA we've got for Town as he's got for Norwich City. So fair play to him for that. But again, the question will be answered very soon. We haven't got too long to wait now. A couple of months.
And as a content, no, we haven't. Oh, yeah, we welcome any time as a content creator to yourself. Welcome anytime. Come on the platform. It's all love here. It's all friendly banter. No one really means it. Unless it's me and Steve about goalkeepers, then we truly mean it.
And green energy.
And green
energy.
Absolutely. Right, we're done for the day. It's been a fantastic show. We won't touch VAR because it's an absolute mess and should be put in the bin. Alongside that article, funnily enough, but there we go.
Getting lines up on the. Oh no! Did you know the VAR? The main guy has a VAR assistant with him, Matt.
This was the Diaz goal, wasn't it? The Liverpool one.
The one they thought was given as a goal, from what I've read.
Yeah. They thought it checked over. They thought it was a goal. Oh no!
Now, when we're in the Premier League next season, this will be a new segment, I'm sure. VAR madness.
I can't comprehend that at no point when they saw them about to kick off and there was no goal on the screen, did somebody say, hang on.
That's what's interesting on Match today. He's got the VAR assistant. Did he not think, oh, hang on, lads.
What is this? Noddy's Toyland Detective series? Like, come on.
It takes ages to make a decision. I think they've got it right in the cricket when they go up and do the LBWs, or was there a catch? I think they've got that exactly spot on. It don't take very long, does it? Plus, you have a natural break in cricket, don't you, reach between balls and the overs. But football just takes too long, and then bloody hell they get it wrong. But look, listen, this could be a conversation for next season.
Well, I don't mind taking long if you're actually going to get it right, but
they didn't even take any length of time, because I was listening to it on the radio coming home. The commentator on Radio 5 said, "Oh, that's not offside." They didn't even have the line, and I mean, I've seen it 2 or 3 times, and even when you see it live without it being slowed down, he's onside. So someone's made it. And
VAR's gone wrong.
The apology. You might as well not apologise, Matt, for making the balls up, because that makes it worse for my liking. Just don't say anything.
Klopp must have been like going crazy. You've got that. You've got the 2 reds. You've got the own goal.
Never mind. If it's got something else to moan about, when I hear a Jurgen Klopp press conference these days, it seems to be an issue with the fixtures, issue with that, issue with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get on with
so Matt's not there Tuesday night. You're not at the game Tuesday.
I won't be at the game Tuesday. No, I'm going to red button it Tuesday.
Good. I've got a proposition for you, sir, but we'll do it after the show. Right. This has been Talking Town. That man there is the Cruncher. He is the man from Del Monte. I am the Gov. Thank you for watching. Join us again tomorrow. And of course, on Match Reaction Tuesday night, which we'll see who's hosting. But until then, with love, with care, adios. You make me smile when I think of you. If I